Okay, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, please. Mhm. Okay, okay, yeah. Okay, first of all, here we'll have to understand the uh, the business model first, right? Because in an investment business, here what we do, we buy some investment and we sell some investment, and through which we try to generate some revenue for us. Because in the normal business, what happened? You can see some assets like buildings or machineries or goods and other things. But here, like you can't see such. There in the other businesses like uh, maybe you heard about the SAP application or maybe you heard about the Tally, right? Because now the Tally has been replaced by the SAP, and now again there are many more advancement happened in that accounting industry as well. So that is what there are a few things that you can see. Okay, but in that business, you can see some we sell some goods and we buy some goods, and through which we try to generate again profit. But here also, what we do, we try to sell our securities, we try to sell our bonds, we try to sell our derivative contracts, right? And through which we try to generate income for us, right? And maybe sometime we who is calling? Just a minute. I think he's one of. Hello. Hey, hi. Yeah, I'm good. Market settlement. It's a market. It means that it would be for a O2C over the counter. Yeah, so it would be for over the counter. So you will have to prepare from that perspective. Give me at least 45 minutes. Okay, so we'll connect there and we'll discuss about it because I'm in the session already. Okay, I'll give a call to you definitely. We'll discuss about it. And if I have any material, then I'll forward to you. That's fine. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, guys. Okay. So, in the investment business, we'll have to sell some investment and we'll have to buy some investment. That is what, and that is how we try to generate some return on the investment. And when we generate some return on the investment, definitely we'll have to pay some charges to the intermediate who is working as intermediate between respective counterpart, between buyer and seller, right? And uh, when we pay some charges or fees or maybe taxes to someone, then see guys, how we gonna be trace all those things? Suppose you have your own individual account with the size of rupees around 1 crore or 2 crore, still you won't be able to manage your entire things. Suppose there are 20 to 15 stocks in your portfolio, then how you gonna be manage their dividends, their the other corporate action events, maybe their investing strategies? How you gonna be trace? So we need to have a robust platform which can help us to resolve our investment accounting problems. And that is what you can see. There are different platforms, accounting platforms. For example, uh, hope you are aware about the Blackstone House, one of the largest hedge fund house in the world. They are using Aladdin something accounting platform. With the BNY, there would be enterprise application or maybe Invesco or Investment Plus. With the CT, there would be multi-fund or many other. Even with the other different organizations, they have their own platforms as well. But why their platforms are there and how they works, that is important for us. Because ultimately, but yeah, the ultimately even the applications remain the little bit features and little bit the The tabs in that application should be different, but the rest, the how to calculate the returns, or how to calculate the accruals, how to calculate the fees and taxes and cost and income and all, everything would remain same for all the companies or all the organizations or all the hedge fund houses. There won't be any change in the process, because we know that there are 4 to 5 heads that you can see under the mutual fund or maybe under the hedge fund, right? For a private equity, there would be something different, because one of the head would be the cap stock activity. Cap stock, under cap stock that you can see withdrawal, redemption, then early redemption or early exit from the investor into that particular scheme, right? Then corporate actions, because even corporate action is one of the critical process where every time they will have to pay more attention while dealing with such a corporate actions, because they will have to even review it. So up to corporate actions, what impact gonna be there on the investment holding? And even there are a number of corporate actions, mandatory, voluntary, mandatory with choice. Then how they gonna be affect on your holding? That is also, one of the point that we'll have to discuss from an interview perspective. And the another one is income. You both are working with the income team, so you guys are aware about it, because there are two types of income that you can see. For equity, there would be a dividend, because under dividend also that you can see one is voluntary dividend and another is mandatory dividend, because in a equity segment also that you can see two segregations. One is for the common stock and another is for preference equity. But yeah, the most of the time we do deal with only common stock, and rest that the preference equity that you can see with the private equity house, they majorly to deal with that the private equity product, sorry, the preference equity product. And another is interest payment. Interest payment would be for the bond, asset backed securities, mortgage backed securities, then loans product, structured finance loans product, right? So for those, we'll have to process the interest payment to them. That is also important. Then the another is fees, 2% and 20%. 2%, which is 2% admin fees, and 20%, which is incentive and performance fees. Sometime you can see the argument on this when you say, if there is a question on the fees part. So what is a standard benchmark for applying fees to the investors, or maybe to the hedge fund, or maybe to the mutual fund houses, or maybe for a private equity? But for all, like 2 to 20 they follow, but that is like for just generic way, that or it's just a generic benchmark. But again, this fees depends on, for this applies to the hedge fund and private equity. So there would be an agreement between two counterparts, and they will decide how would be the fees and all. Even they can reduce the 2%. Even they can even negotiate with the 20% portion as well with the performance fees. Depends on the agreement between the counterparts, or maybe that you can say hedge fund manager and the investors, right? And after that, definitely the taxes, that we cannot ignore to the tax part. Taxes, the tax term is very critical. Make it up to the or the before the calculation of NAV. Definitely we'll have to apply the tax treatment to the hedge fund product, and then we can disclose the NAV to our investors, or produce the NAV for our investors and stakeholders, or maybe internal or external, right? Because NAV is again crucial part. If you guys are not able to produce the NAV correctly, then from a, again, this should be like the regulatory breach, right? Even auditors like KPMG or the Ernest and Youngest, big four companies, they can also raise their concern or cert, or maybe they can send an escalation to the respective hedge fund house. But yeah, so even you can recalculate it and submit it to the respective team, and but there would be a lots of uh, efforts that will have to put, because everything that will have to calculate again. Okay, so one team that, or one the hit that we have missed, which is the trade processing or trade review that you can call it. That is also one of the activity that you can see under the hedge fund accounting, right? But most of the time, what happen when you join to the hedge fund project, either it will be part of uh, maybe corporate action, maybe trade processing, maybe income team where you are working, maybe NAV production, maybe cap stock activity. Because as simple as that, hardly if you join any small fund house, then there you can experience entire activities done by the one FT or one processor only. But like the companies like other JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, or maybe NT, Citco, and all, that will have to work on only small task. It could be corporate action, or under corporate action you can see a number of teams, maybe reconciliation, maybe there would be a different team for mandatory corporate action, there would be a different teams for recon tax, then the dividend interest payment, right? Because a number of teams would be there under the corporate action also. And even sometime uh, or with some organizations will have to work entire products, or one team can perform the entire activities for a corporate action as well, and there would be again one team for that income processing part as well. But yeah, all the teams are the part of fund accounting only. Why all the teams are fund accounting only, we'll see that. That is important, and we'll have to discuss that. Okay. But yeah, again, so once you have information from all the heads, then you can prepare the monthly accounting. This is right. Otherwise, you won't be able to perform the accounting. Suppose, let's say you're not able to trace the buy and sell trade details, right? Then again, you cannot perform or accurate accounting statements or financial statements for that particular fund, right? And again, that projection will be incorrectly displayed to the investors or to the hedge fund managers, and on the basis of that, even they will not take the accurate investment decisions, because ultimately when you do the buy and sell, so that affects on the net balances as well. When you generate the net balances, suppose you forgot, or one of the team members forgot to apply the purchase trade or sell trade, then there will be a change in the net balances as well. So that balance is the wrong figure can goes to the respective team, and even they can report the same to the fund managers, and then find ultimately then it will affect on the another next investment decisions or next course of action that the manager is looking for. So that is what every activity is crucial, every task is crucial. So that is what we'll look all the task in details. We'll try to cover that in details. How the we'll start from the trade processing. Okay, trade processing is one of the key activities and even easy to understand. So we'll start from the trade processing. Okay. Trade processing. Where is the info? Hmm. Corporate action details. Hedge fund distribution allocation. Where is my download? Okay. What is meant by trade processing, right? Because as we know that when we talk about hedge fund or when we talk about mutual fund, right? So there would be a front office team or front office desk. So front office desk will closely work with the managers or decision makers who can take the investment decisions, right? Okay, let's say for example today you're working with the ABC PVT Limited partnership or private limited, whatever it is. Okay, let's say your manager plays trades for Google company. Here's Google and Facebook. Okay, so when manager will place a request or place a trades for a Google and Facebook, what will happen next? Simply because uh, there would be a middle office team. Their task is to capture the trades. Because so once the manager send a request, once the hedge fund manager send a request to the desk team, they will book the trades. Actually, they will have to put a request for a Google and Facebook stocks, right? The quantity would be like around maybe because as a hedge fund that you can see there would be a huge quantity and amount, right? Suppose they have placed request for this 1000 quantity and for a Facebook again 1000 quantity and they have purchased it. And even manager, hedge fund manager, he or she they don't directly put a request. They will have to send the details to the front office team or front office desk or trade desk. Even suppose if you join any desk team, then you will have a better idea about it. So actually, they will have to take a call from the hedge fund manager and they will have to reconcile the order. They will have to check the balances, how much balance is available in the hedge fund account, and accordingly, they will have to place a trade request. And if there is no balance, and if you ask me, suppose if you join the team, then what would be the challenges and what would be the roles and responsibilities? Okay, so keep this thing in mind for a long join any team. Join any team means any teams from any sector. Try to understand this. There would be a key things or key terms that I would say or key words that you can see. One is quantity, then the rate, or even you can call like price, trade date, settlement date, maybe maturity date, redemption date, payment date, processing date, even for a payment date you can call value date. Then amount, currency, and type. This is important. So it could be instrument type, maybe trade type, under trade type that from investment banking perspective that you can call the derivative one. Right. If you join mortgage industry, if you join any that insurance industry, if you join any other industry, manufacturing and all, so everywhere you can see such things, right? Quantity, even if you join any manufacturing industry, there would be a quantity, or else you can see one lots word. But yeah, so lot which is for a quantity, and even in the lots you can see the number of quantities. Then rate and price, even you can join, if you joined any manufacturing industry, there you can see the word like price for per lot or price for per quantity, right? Even there would be a trade date, there would be a settlement date which is nothing but it's just like we are actually transferring the benefit to the from one counterparty account to another counterparty account, and respectively we are debiting the consideration from one counterparty account to another counterparty account. There would be also the same when you, even the payment date, when we are processing the payment, actually processing the payment, that date called as payment date, and that date you can see with the manufacturing industry as well, or even you can see with the investment banking industry, or even that you can see with the IT industry as well, because when you opt any service or when you sign the contract for a particular service, maybe it could be the maintenance, support, product development and all, so there you can see the payment date, how they're going to be process the payment to the respective counterpart. So here also with the investment banking industry, you can see the payment date. So it could be for a corporate action payment, it could be for a normal trade processing payment, or it could be for your the income processing payment in terms of dividend and the interest payment. And even the same thing that you can see with the insurance industry as well, right? There you can see the monthly installment payment for your particular insurance scheme. It could be for term insurance, it could be for your the health insurance and all. And if you see in the mortgage industry also, there also you can see the payment as well, payment dates, value date, payment processing date, trade date, when it has been traded, settlement date, when it has been settled, it means actually they have agreed all the terms and conditions, and that is what they have executed this particular agreement between two counterparts, right? Currency which is very important, because every country has their own denomination. That is what the currency is very significant, and that is what even in the agreement or in a contract note as well, always, or we used to check that currency part. What is the currency? If it is INR, USD, GBP, right? Then type. What is the type? Or maybe it could be instrument type as well. It could be for equity, it could be for bonds, it could be for loans, MBS, other insurance, or maybe mortgage and all. Or even there are a number of structured finance products as well that could be for those products as well. Right? That is really important, and you can see same things with everywhere, because most of the time people are they are not able to link their existing knowledge with the upcoming process and products. So that is what the most of the time they perplex on it. But don't worry about it, because join any industry, any organization, this thing should be remain same. There won't be change anything, but sometime you can see for a payment date they're calling like processing date, or for a payment date sometime that happen like they're calling value date. That little bit change that you can see in their work culture, but the rest are generic rules that won't be changed at all. Here also, while processing the transactions, while processing the trades for a respective counterparts, if suppose if you joined any such a team, desk team and all, or maybe their backup team, you can see such things on a contract notes. But here, definitely once the manager raise or hedge fund manager raise the request for a please trades for this, suppose even in that team you can see the two ways, two types of request that you can accept. One is on call and second is on via email, or else I would say they can prepare some document or contract notes and they can send to us. So the proper word would be like contract notes, and even you can sometime there would be a questions on this as well. So what is a contract note? So important is on a contract notes, what would be the details? This quantity, lot. Okay, there are two things that we have missed. One is issuer name, and another one is counterparty details, which is for both buyer and seller, right? And middleman information. Even you can call like agent bank. So there's information also which is very important while accepting the request for placing trades or book the trades, right? So two ways that you can see. One, you can accept the request on a call, but yes, nowadays even they are maintaining the records, because once you start to discuss such a things about the trades and all, so we need to maintain that records with us, because sometime happen that suppose you have booked the trades with the incorrect price. That is what even you can see the escalations from the hedge fund managers, or maybe other the institutional investors, or maybe from a retail investors, stating that why did you book the trades with the incorrect price, right? So that is what. So for when you take a call, then definitely we'll have to start the recording as well. So you can record that and you can carry that up to 90 days, and up to 90 days that you can remove remove it from your system, or else once the trade's been executed, then also you can remove it. Okay, so suppose you're working with this that the desk team, because the desk team and trade processing team, both the teams will have a similar responsibilities. But yes, the desk team will be directly deal with the hedge fund managers and other investors, or the other prime brokers and brokers. So that is what they will have to deal with, like trade booking, right? Then they will have to block the fund, then trade execution, right? Then they will have to communicate with the other respective stakeholders or maybe counterparty, right? Okay. And apart from that, so we'll talk about the challenges, because from interview point of view, sometime they can ask the questions on this part. So what would be the challenges for a desk team? Let's say you are an investor, because while booking the trades or sending the request for booking the trades, will have to choose the price option as well. One is limit and another one is market price. What is the difference between market price and limit price? Limit price, it means actually you are restricting your price. You are actually the investor, or suppose you are investor, you are quoting that. Suppose there are two to three price are listed on this exchange. For example, $1, 1.2, 1.3, and 1.5. Because okay, so suppose I'm an investor and you guys are working with the desk team, and I have sent the request for booking the Facebook securities, 1000 securities in my account or in my hedge fund account. Okay, so first of all, check it whether the price or limit price has been selected or not by that particular investor or maybe manager. If not, then it means you can assume that it is a market price. Market price, it means always your trades will be booked at higher price. Make sure. That is what every time we'll have to restrict that price, and that is what we call it limit price. Sometime that happened, and very in a rare cases, suppose the limit price is not available at the moment that you can see, they will have to choose only market price. But again, suppose the investor and yes, please. Yeah, manager, investor. Because see, hedge fund manager is also hosting to their investor, right? So in that hedge fund case, so hedge fund manager will quote it or send the contract note to us. Okay, so they will have to provide this. See, as a operation analyst, we are only entitled to deal with operation activities only. Because that is not our own money, so we cannot take any action. We cannot decide anything. As simple as that. And that is what, like, if you booked any trade with incorrect price, there would be escalation from the hedge fund or from the other mutual funds and maybe the other teams or institutional investors or maybe from the HNI investors. Matter is where you are and how you are dealing with and who are the investors for you, right? So that is what the limit price or market price. Keep in mind that should be selected or choose by the investor only, not the desk team. Okay. So our job is to once we have input on this, the limit and market price, on the basis of that, we'll book the trades. And the miss on from the challenges perspective, sometime uh, even this happened by this due to just manual interventions and all. Uh, you have booked the trades with a different price. Instead 1.2, you have booked the trades with 1.5, which is higher. And uh, when we talk about hedge fund, their volume of transactions would be very high. The quantities would be in millions or trillions. So that is what even I can show the reports as well. Okay. See, if you can multiply with this, you will have an idea how much extra uh, that particular manager or hedge fund house they will have to bear it due to our manual error or entries would say. See the difference. So that house they will have to bear this much amount. They will have to pay extra this amount. And why they will pay it? Because they have given the instructions to us to book the trades with a limit price, which is 1.2 for a per equity, or maybe for a per bond, or maybe for a per preference shares, or a number of instruments are there. Or maybe this applies to the FX market as well, like currency and all, right? But what we have done, we have booked the trade with 1.5, right? So that is what, so this is like, one of the, I would say, big challenge to book the trades. And even while processing such a transactions, will have to be more attention on it. There would be very high traction on a pricing part. Once even single penny, if would be here and there, still in that case, you can see there would be a big difference in the amount. And ultimately, their cost will be increased. that nobody want to, because everyone, including retail investor, they will have an intent or intention to buy the securities at a lower price and sell the securities at a higher price. And here what we're doing, we are booking the trades at a higher price. Right? That is what, while booking the trades and transactions, will have to pay more and more attention. And even that is, I think, just because of that, the desk team, when you worked at a desk team, you will have a high salary as well than the other guys. And even the many houses, brokerage houses, or maybe the prime brokerage houses, they pay higher commissions as well to them, just because they are dealing with the lots of critical things. But yes, so this is one of the challenge, and one is another is like the amendments, late amendments. The proper words would be in a hedge fund accounting terms would be the late announcement or late entries, right? So sometime what happened in the first contract note, you have received order for only 1 million, and later on even they have added 20,000 quantity extra, okay, and even they have quoted the price for same 1.2, but at the moment the price is not available, right? 1.2 is not available. So in that case, again, you will have to call to the manager, uh, and then you will have to discuss this case as like 1.2, so there is no seller available for this particular price. So can you please amend the price, or can you please instruct us if we can book the trades by this particular price, like 1.3, 1.4, 1.6, 1.7, and blah blah things, right? So that is how, even if you see the any late announcement or amendments, in that case there would be like lots of framework required, like we'll have to call to the managers or investors, will have to discuss about the story, and will have to get it done on time. Otherwise, that particular trades will be failed or cancelled. Instructions will be cancelled, right? In a banking word, so we use the words like instructions. Then other is like contract note, maybe uh, the daily trade details, right? So those are words that you can see, keep in mind. Or most of the time in an interview also, they will ask about it. What is contract note? What is uh, what is the agreement or confirm agreement, or maybe other a number of agreements are there. We'll discuss that also, but later on. Okay. So one is like price. The another one is late announcement. Then maybe sometime that you can see the challenge about on the funding part. All right. Suppose you have booked the trades. For example, let's say for a Google stock, or maybe for a Facebook stock, let's say the JPM is the seller, right? And let's say MS is the buyer, MS, right? Quantity, price, quantity, and price. Okay, ideally, what should be happen here, like, because suppose you're working with a broking house, right? Or maybe let's say custodian side. See, as a custodian or as a broking house, you are not actually buying and selling anything, right? You are here to just match the instructions or match the requirement, or you are just here to direct that particular activity to the respective buyer or to the respective seller. And that is your job only. That's the job that we have here. But sometime even they can ask, but yes, while booking the trades, What activity going to happen here? Suppose JPM is selling, then we'll have to debit the funds from the JPM's, sorry, we'll have to debit the quantity from the JPM's account, right? We'll have to credit this quantity to the MS with the same price, right? And we'll have to debit this amount, right? Quantity, I'll write it everything here, amount, amount, right? So you will have to debit this amount from the MS account and will have to credit this amount to the JPM's account. But suppose if, because what we do here, first of all, most of the brokers, what they do, they they book block the funds in the respective account, or in the books of MS account, block the fund. That even activity you can see with the treasury management or maybe cash management team or cash team and all. So actually they will have to block the fund. So block, it means you can transfer that fund to the temporary account. So it could be suspense account, or it could be another account which has been created for a holding and parking funds. Okay, and this is mandatory, and this will have to do it just to avoid any further delay or sometime, because most of the time that you can see, suppose if you're not holding the funds and once you book the trades here, suppose, but at the time of actually settlement, so you are seeing that there is only the 1000 is available in the MS book, and they are short on a 200 fund. So in that case, what you can do, because you are just processing this activity, right? You are not buying anything, you are not selling anything, you are just providing this processing facility to the respective traders, right? Then what you can do then, because you have two options. You will have to mitigate that particular fund. So as a broker, you will have to add that margin in the account and you will have to process it. But most of the brokers, they don't do it because there is a risk, the default, right? Suppose if MS default on the payment, then what can you do? Nothing. You can't do anything. That is what this is like. There would be a lots of framework that you can see before processing the trades or before placing the trades. That framework called as like the balance confirmation. Right, first of all, balance confirmation should be sent to the respective counterpart. Yeah, we have available balance in our account, or we have blocked the funds for that particular securities, and then only you can place the request, or then only you can book the trades for MS, right? So this is one of the big challenge that you can see in the process, because by mistakenly, suppose you have booked the trades and there is no fund is available, and if there is no, there is the fund is short, maybe it could by 200, 300, 400, whatever it is. You have two options. One, you can call to the counterparty MS and immediately you can ask them to add fund in their account. And suppose unfortunately MS is denying to add the fund in their account, then what can you do? Immediately you will have to, then again you will have two options. You can search for another buyer who is willing to buy that particular securities, or who is quite interested in the Google and Facebook securities, so you can transfer that security to them and you can mitigate this particular uh, demand, right? And another one is you can convince to the seller, as the particular buyer is not ready to buy the securities from you or at the moment, or else otherwise, if the seller is denied to revoke that particular activity, then in that case we'll have to bear the penalty as well, right? So that is what this job is quite critical. While dealing with the transactions, everything is important. So we cannot miss on the balance confirmation. We cannot miss on the quantity part, right? Because sometime you can see uh, the we have received request for only 900 quantities, but we have booked the trades for 100 quantity. Right? Then what you can do? And suppose uh, it's market closing. Then what can you do? Right, so that is what this the activity is quite critical. So we'll have to ensure that whatever we are booking, whatever we have received, the contract information or contract note, first of all, try to read carefully. Try to read twice, thrice. If you are not sure, then escalate it. Even you can call to the counterparty and confirm it. How much is the quantity? How much is the price? Who is the counterparty, buyer and seller? What is the issuer name? Price, if it is a market price or limit price, right? Amount, where is the confirmation of amount which has been blocked in their particular account? Where is the confirmation? Right, so everything is important. So you can confirm on call as well if you're not sure about it, and then you can process it. Because see guys, this is the first stage of, here you can see the accounting will be start, because you're actually buying something and you're actually selling something. Suppose in the MS book they will have to prepare the accounting. Once they buy something, they will have to enter in their books of accounting. And as simple as that, as a broking house, suppose you're working with a custodian, so once you help to them to buy and sell the securities, they will pay some commission to us. So it means as a broker or custodian also, they will have to maintain the journal entries and their books of account, right? Because in the custodian's account or broker's account, you can see some accounting, because accounting is everywhere. Without accounting, there is nothing. So custodian will the put the entry like the JPM is the seller, buyer MS, debit, credit. First. Mm, right. Here the quantity, first of all, we'll talk about quantity. See the situation, right? One is selling and second is buying. Selling, it means we'll have to debit the quantity from the JPN's account. This activity is important, right? Debit, it means sometime that you can see as with a minus sign, right? And we'll have to credit this quantity in the MS account, right? The same way you can see, because there won't be any change. Debit can credit, that trade book that you can see, because every broker, they will have to carry their own trading book, right? And even this contract details that you can call it. And for a fund, again, see the activity MS is buying, it means funds should be debited, whatever it is, one, okay, and it should credit to the JPM. See this. Shit. This is the activity. So this is how the broker and the custodian, they will have to maintain their trade books, right? And sometime maybe you will have a question, then how can we perform the reconciliation in between? That's simple, because there are another two counterparts are involved, right? One is MS and another one is APM. So you can perform the reconciliation between custodian and MS, and even custodian and JPM, because here that you can see the broker and custodian, they will have to maintain the main ledger account, or main book, even you can call it main book, because they are actually recording for a buyer and seller as well, or for all the counterparts. But in the MS book, MS will maintain only their own records, right? Let we debit, suppose, let's say debit and credit. The same way, suppose MS debited the fund and the quantity. The same the JP Morgan will maintain in their books of account. But the custodian, they will have to maintain the records for both buyer and seller, and that is how we'll have to perform the reconciliation between the counterparties and with their own account, right? What has been debited, what has been credited. So credit amount should be matched, or credit quantity should be matched with the MS, and even this the debit amount should be matched with the respective counterparty, right? And if it is not matched, then definitely this is part of an investigation. And in an interview process also, sometime they ask, if you see any discrepancy in the respective books of account, what course of action would be there, or what would be the first course of action that you will take it. As simple as that, if you see any discrepancy in such a process, the first course of action would be like investigation. Find out it. So investigation first and find out it. Then ultimately, see, we'll have to debit something and credit something. But sometime, if the client will provide their access to us to do something, or to take a manual action at, but sometime you can see they will not allow us to do anything, so they will just ask us to report it. So it means first would be the the investigation, and then would be findings, and then report it to the right team or right person, all right? And then they will provide further course of action, whether we should take it action, whether they should take it action. If they should take it, then that is fine, they will confirm to us on email, then you can again match it. So ultimately there shouldn't be any discrepancy in the both the books. That is how accounting start, right? बहुत बार ऐसा होता है ना, because when you join any fund accounting process or the recon process and all, sometime it feels like I'm not the part of accounting. But yeah, the recon team is also part of accounting, and settlement team is also part of accounting, your corporate action, income processing, every team is part of the accounting, right? And with every process we'll have to do some accounting, because in every process, if you can observe carefully, we are only debiting something and we are crediting something. Otherwise, apart from that, we are not doing anything. Suppose if you received income, we'll have to debit the income from the issuer's account, and we'll have to credit that particular the interest payment to the investor's account, right? That is what how the accounting works with every process. Okay, so are you with me, guys? Hello, are you with me? Are you getting me or not? So for any question, so yeah, okay. Trade life cycle. Okay, so whatever we have discussed, okay, so that we have discussed about the trade date, okay, or else that you can say pre-trade date, right? And even this trade date you can call like T, right? But as we know that, so equity, we have for equity, it should be settled within a T plus 2, trade date plus 2, that is your settlement date, okay. Recently, the citation has been circulated from the SEBI or regulator. They are planning to shift this equity segment from a T plus 2 to T plus 1, something, or on maybe on a T plus T date. Only on a trade date itself, the trade will be executed and settled. But I don't know when that gonna be happened. Okay. Okay, see this. When someone asks about it, what is a trade life cycle for a particular product, if he is mentioning the name about maybe equity, maybe bond, or maybe government securities, or maybe other, first of all, start with the the rule that we have, because generic rule that is like, you know when the trade get placed on a trade date, so that should be settled on a T plus 2 basis, and if it is a government securities, it should be settled on a trade date itself, or maybe on a T plus 1 basis, okay. And if it is a bond, again that should be settled on a T plus 2. If it is a loans, for a loans, that you can see like it should be settled on a T plus 5 or maybe T plus 10, depends on the market type, right? And while settling the trades, and even sometime there would be a questions why we need a T plus 2. That is what we have discussed all about things, right? Because we'll have to ensure that the fund should be there, the quantity should be available, the price and other the framework, then counterparty consent, everything should be ready to disburse or to because the trade settlement is something you're discharging from this particular contract, right? The contract will be end there. So once the trade gets settled, then everything will be done and dusted. So after that, we don't need to do anything. So that is what before that. So we need a time for reconciliation, we need a time for accounting, we need a time for confirmation, we need a time for to do the other, any, suppose if you see any kind of discrepancy in the trades and all, so we need a time for that. That is what. So trade date is important for a trade processing. After processing, even the T plus 2, the time which we get, that is the time is also important to reconcile each and everything. And even the trade settlement date is also important to disburse or to process the actual process that particular securities from one account to another, right? And up to trade settlement also, sometime happened that because even we received late amendments or late announcement as well, so you can see the change in price, even you can see the change in quantity, you can see the change in the counterparty and agent names as well. So later on also we'll have to do some amendments in our system as well. So that is what that cycle goes to T plus uh, T plus 3, T plus 4, T plus 5, T plus 6, T plus 7. I think till 9 that the series goes 9. Okay, so I'll send you this notes for this. You can even read it. Okay, so now you can ask your questions on this if you have. What was that? Hello. Yeah. See the See, when you talk about any kind of security, okay, so for example, why the trade settlement date is important? Okay, so settlement, it means we are actually transferring the rights from one person to another, right? We are transferring the ownership entitlement, or ownership, that we are transferring the ownership, right? Okay, so when we talk about bonds, even that is critical, and the date is important just because, so once the trade gets settled, you will be start to accrue the interest payment from the settlement date. All right, so are you guys aware about accrued interest or dividend part? Right, so that is what the trade settlement date is important, and even government securities are critical one, so that is what it should be settled on a T+1 basis, and once it will settle, then your account or your equity or maybe the bonds, it will start to accrue the respective interest payment. Is it so, or you're looking for something else or other information? Yeah, the documentation part will be, very high. See, there are again two types that you can see for a loans. uh, LMA market. This LMA stands for Loan Market Association. Okay, and another one is LSTA, loan. This is also important from a trade settlement perspective. Definitely you will see questions on this. Loan syndication market association. Okay, for LMA market you will see T plus 5, sorry, T plus 10, and for a loan syndication market, that you can see T plus 5. Okay, so why the T plus 10 and T plus 5 is important? Because, and see, even this is just a generic rule, okay, but in a loan syndication market, most of the trade, it should be settled on a T plus 5 basis. But in a loan market association case, uh, hardly you can see the trades will settle on a T plus 10 basis. Most of the time, you can see it will take lots of time, even more than a 45 days to get the trade settled in your system, because lots of framework is required, lots of documentation is required, lots of agreement part is required. For example, the master agreement, then confirm the trade confirm, right? In a trade confirm and master agreement, that you can see the CPT details, terms, spread, right? Then the price, asset type, the rating details, and blah blah things, right? CPT consent, counterparty consent, it means they are agreed with the terms and conditions or not, right? Then uh, so in the first stage, suppose if trade happened there, suppose if today trade happened there, then so we'll have to capture that trade. Capture, that means you can see the centralized platform like DTCC, ClearPar, maybe the Euroclear, right? They are the platforms they actually use for this the loan settlement or trade settlement and other the trade processing part. So the particular that platforms they provide access to us, so where you can see that the particular trade has been happened between these two, JP Morgan and this MS. Suppose you're working with MS, so we will have to see that who is the seller. Suppose you are buyer, then you will have to see the seller, and suppose you are seller, you are means MS, because on the behalf of MS we'll see it, we'll deal with that particular trades and transactions. So we'll have to say it. And suppose if you are saying that the trade is there, but the particular trade is not booked in your system or in your books of account, right? Then in that case, a trade recognition process would be there. Recognition, maybe the recon that you can call, or maybe the investigation, right? So we'll have to investigate that why the particular trade has not been booked in our particular system, because that is available on the centralized platform or server. And then we'll have to reach out to the respective counterparty, maybe JP Morgan. You can call them, or else you can send a mail to them with the proper details, these details, right? And these details you can send them, hey guys, we see this agreement, but we are not seeing that particular trade is booked in our accounting system. Can you please recognize this particular trade, or can you please reconcile this information, or can you please provide acknowledgement if you are agreeing with this particular terms and condition? If they say yes, then you will have to initiate further documentation part, right? Then you will have to review that particular documents from your end as EMS. You will have to review it, and you will have send this particular document to your respective manager who can provide signed, because as a processor they will not allow us to sign that particular document, we'll just review it. So that process even called like the trade capturing and all, trade recognition, trade capturing and all, right? Once you've done with this, the documentation part or maybe signing part, right? Then uh, you can go with the funding details. Even this funding details that you can go to contract note, right? So on the same contract note as well, or on the funding details, means on that document also you can see such information like the settlement date, trade date, price, amount, traded amount, right? That you can see. So again, on that document also we required signature from the both the counterparties, right? Suppose your manager signed, but there the JP Morgan's manager is not signed it, then we'll have to reach out to that manager as well, hey, can you please sign it, right? So once you're done with the documentation part, then you can actually settle that particular trade in your books of account. So that is what it takes, more than 10 days time to get settle the trade. On the ground level, it will take lots of time to settle the trade, right? But like in a general term or in a generic way or as a benchmark, or maybe the standard rule, if you can see, so this is the rule for a loan market. It should be settled on a T plus 10, and for LSTA market, loan syndication market, it should be settled on a T plus 5. The simply guys, if you apply for a home loan, do you think really they will process that fund within a 5 days or 2 days? They ask for a lots of documentation, right? Or maybe in terms of that the what I would say, the insurance part. Just apply for insurance and then see. It will take more than 2 to 3 weeks. We'll have to push them a lot. Even they will also call us for much information like your the personal information, family information, income information, business information, KYC docs, funding information, fund availability, right? A number of things would be there in that process also. The same way here also work, right? Right? Okay, so are you clear on this particular part, or still do you require discussion from another way? No, right? Okay, and from an interview point of view, this words is important, right? These rules is important. Because sometimes they say, manager को लग रहा है कि just ask it. What is LMA? What is LST? What is the difference between LMA and LSTA? Right? And why, which is why this that T plus 10 is important? Because on a after trade date, there would be a lots of framework required to get the ready for a settlement and all, right? That is what. Okay. So what is the time? 11:30. Just a minute. Let me take a water. Okay. So so this is how the processing team works, and again, see that such roles and responsibilities will be with the trade processing team, will be with, even you can see such a responsibilities with middle ops processes as well, because as a middle ops they will have to just pass this communication to the backend team, and even they will have to reach out to the desk team to get the information, right? Because how the accounting works, like, because as a middle office team they will have to create the accounting records in the middle office process itself, the same with the same trade details, right? And the same information should be recorded in the back office as well, or else broker or maybe the entity corporate brokers, they can send the information to the middle office team as well as to the back office team, and even they will have to record it from their end in the both the accounts, middle office account and back office account. And why this is important? Just because we are dealing with the financial information, and every information is crucial, so we cannot miss on single penny. That is not our money, right? We are getting fees to provide this asset servicing facility to our client, right? So that is what we should very vigilant while dealing with the financial transactions. So that is what, suppose you have recorded 100 to the middle office, if it is quantity, then it should be like 100 quantity in the back office as well. And if you see the back office quantity is not in a balance or in a line with the middle office, suppose here that you can see 100 and here it is 19. So there is a two things. One, suppose there was received amendments, right? And it was like late night amendments that received to the broker, and broker or maybe the custodian or maybe fund manager, they have sent the details to directly to the back office, right? And that is what they have amended the quantity in their books of account, but they could not pass that communication to the middle office team, right? And that is what they are still with the 100 quantity. So you can, if suppose you are working with back office team, then you will have to communicate with the middle office. Hey, see guys, we have received this the late amendments for this particular security, so can you please amend this in your books of account as well, right? And if you see any communication received to the middle office team, then they will have to pass that communication to the back office as well. So there should be synergies between middle ops and back ops. Both the teams are equally important, but the difference is like back office will deal with directly the back office will deal with the middle office, and middle office will work as a agent or middleman between the back office and front office, or the desk, I would say, desk, or maybe hedge fund manager, maybe counterparties and all, right? Here also, once you settle the trade on time, because here you will work as a middle office, but once the counterparties are ready to settle the trade, then you can settle that particular trade in the middle ops books of account first, and then you can send that particular the memorandum or that funding details or the trade confirmation details to the back office, and you can request them to create the projection in the back office account as well. because for a middle office there will be aligned separate account, for a back office there will be aligned separate account, and they will have to maintain the records in the middle ops books as well as in the back, right? And if you see any discrepancy in between, then we'll have to reach out to the respective team, right? Okay. Okay, guys, we'll stop here for today, right? We have covered this trade processing part, right? But yeah, there are the different instrument, and even we have covered for this the equity and bonds and for loans as well. Okay. Now, you have a 5 minutes, so you can raise your doubts if you have anything in that so far, so we can discuss on that. Your doubts are important for me. Hello. So you're getting this, right? So whatever we are discussing. Okay. And another one, the Shambhu, Shombabu, sorry. So are you getting me right? Okay. So if you have any doubts, even you can directly call me or text me on WhatsApp as well, and even you can write me on my email as well, right? That is also fine. So I'll respond there. I'll forward you the material to you guys, okay? And that would be for hedge fund and even for a mutual fund as well. So I have a material for private equity as well, but at this point of time, we'll look for only the hedge fund and mutual fund, right? Right. So okay. So I'll summarize this. We have discussed about the desk team and their roles and responsibilities. So you can call it front office task or the responsibilities that we have discussed, right? And their challenges as well, right? And even we have discussed about the trade processing part, and even because and even we have discussed about the trade settlement as well, right? So I'll forward you the material for this trade life cycle, right? So just read it, right? And if you have any doubts in that, then you can bring in the discussion so we can discuss on that. Okay. Okay then, guys, if you don't have any questions, then we can stop here for today, right? In next session, we'll scrub to the corporate action. Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, yeah. Yes, yes, don't worry. I'll share it. I'll share the recording as well.